Hey guys, welcome to the video. So in this video, I would like to talk about a single point. So I would keep it very short, which is something I promise at the beginning of every video, but I fail to keep the promise usually. This time I'm gonna keep the promise. So I was just having a discussion with one of my friends recently, and she's a friend I know for a long time because this is about our, or let's say, my journey. So of course it's not a new friend I made here or anything, and that's important because this kind of realization can only come when you reflect about your journey with either self introspection, or in some cases it might be better if you reflect with someone you know, and someone who has seen you grow up, who has seen your journey, provided they're like, they are a true friend, trustworthy, and all that shit. So the point I would like to discuss in this video is that it is something I have realized about myself, and I'm sharing this because I think this might be useful to some of you, not all of you, but some of you, and that's the reason. Otherwise, there is no point in sharing personal stuff on YouTube. I only shared those personal stuff which may have a general value, like might be of interest to anyone in general. And so what I've realized about, for instance, my journey, and the reason I'm speaking about my journey is that I can speak about it the best. There are a lot of better examples of what I'm about to discuss. Better examples in the sense, I could have taken the example of a more like a successful person, a well-known person. But the reason I'm not doing that is that at the end of the day, I have read about them, let's say in a book or in an online article, or learned about them in a YouTube video or something. But I can speak best about myself. Nobody can. I mean, that is the person, myself. I mean, I'm the person I can speak the best about. So I just want to keep the example relatable. I'm not saying this to flex or anything, just to keep it relatable. So the one of my qualities, one of my, let's say, defining characteristics in the last 5 or 6 years, which is the main, like, my journey started. I mean, before that it was nothing serious. Is that I never wait for permission. So if I want to do something, I just do it anyway, even if I may not have the qualification or the expertise or the knowledge to do that. I mean, qualification by, as set by the standards. I mean, by the normal standards. Okay. So for instance, when I was in my 11th standard, I was 15 or 16 years old around that time. So yeah, I just finished my 10th standard or something. Yeah. So I had already joined the Young Scientist Journal then. It's an international peer-reviewed STEM journal for young people. So it's run by student volunteers. We have advisors like senior STEM researchers and professors, but it's run by student volunteers, and like mostly high school and undergraduate students, and they can submit their articles, their science articles. It could be a review article, it could be an original project work or something, project report or something. And it's a peer reviewed system actually, and there is no money involved, of course. So the volunteers, the editors, review the articles and reach out to the authors, and like, then the article is finally polished and then published. So I joined the journal then, and I was soon appointed as a senior editor for the physics department, and I was already working there like for, like, let's say 3 or 4 months, when I had a sudden idea that, okay, let me found my own journal. Okay, so journal maybe is not the right term, but my idea was that, from what I saw, because this is an international exposure which I got, the Young Scientist Journal, and I had the opportunity to look at, the way these things are done all around the world, not just in my region. And I found that physics, specifically physics as a subject, was underrepresented in the young population. I mean, the high school students especially. So Young Scientist Journal is not a physics journal, it's a STEM journal, and the focus mostly was on, like, science topics. So yeah, of course there was physics and stuff, but I could see the submissions, and we received a lot of submissions. Most of the submissions were in medicine, engineering, computer science and stuff. Physics was underrepresented. And I thought, okay, maybe if we could just if I could just create a platform, let's call it a journal, but it's more like it's the same model. The model is actually like the same I described. It's a journal, but it's not an official journal, in the sense that it's not, for instance, it doesn't have a like impact factor or Scopus indexing or anything. So in that sense, it's not a journal. But yeah, so when I decided to, then I decided that, okay, let me just create a platform like this, because of two reasons. If we could get I mean, that could serve as a motivation for young people to write specifically physics articles, because this platform would not accept, for instance, let's say medicine article. We do accept interdisciplinary articles, but we have expanded our scope later. But when I initially founded it, it was only physics articles. So one would be point number one is it would motivate the young students, the high school students, to write specifically physics articles. At least those who are interested, of course. There is no compulsion or anything. And number two is that it would be like it would also maybe if you could grow to that level one day, it could help to popularize physics among the general audience. I mean, even if it's like the older audience. So and then I just had this idea, and overnight I started I sat with my laptop, opened Wix and designed a website, and asked some of my friends to join. Most of them said no, which I totally understand, but some did say yes. And 5 years ago this was, and today we have like over 95, I think nearly 100 published articles, over 250 submissions in total. Some of them were just like not serious submissions, but still. And we have a team of over 30 active members from all around the world, around 30, 28 right now, because some people leave, some people join, but yeah, it's nearly 30 international members from I think over 9 or 10 countries around the world. So you can check our website, obviously. I'll drop the link in the description. So it's the Journal of Young Physicists, and I must say that initially it was very difficult, like for the first video, because for instance, a 15 or let's say a 16-year-old boy has founded his own, like let's say, website or journal. The first impression is this is just one of those kids who just want to write founder Journal of Young Physicists on their LinkedIn profile, and their only motivation behind creating this platform is that they can add another experience to the LinkedIn profile. I mean, that's the impression most people would have, because a 15-year-old or 16-year-old is definitely not an experienced enough. I was not experienced enough. I totally agree. But I still went along with the plan, and initially it was very difficult. I used to get a lot of negative comments, discouragement, even hate mail, and submissions where I literally had to beg people. And one or two friends of me I think they submitted some articles only because they felt sorry for me initially. Today we have, like, our editors are mostly always busy around the clock, and like we have to reject a lot of articles, and we receive a lot constant steady flow of submissions, so more than I can ask for, actually, if I'm being very honest. Some articles we take a lot of time to reply, but there's a lot of delay, actually, number of submissions we're receiving, which is great, actually. So yeah, I would say, so now, do I regret my decision? Of course not. Now the real question, let's say if the JYP did not succeed, let's say even after 5 years, even today, it was just maybe 2 or 3 published articles, nobody knows about it, nobody cares, and it's usually has a negative impression. Would I have regretted my decision in that case? If I'm being very honest, maybe to some extent, yes. But actually, I would not have regretted my decision. I would have felt bad about it, that okay, I could not carry forward my mission. It's somewhat my failure, and maybe somewhat people couldn't understand me as well. I would definitely have felt bad about it, no point arguing there, but I think I would not have regretted my decision, because this is the point of this video. I think the reason people wait for permission, okay, I am a high school student. I don't have the permission to found my own organization. I don't have the permission to write a research paper. Research papers are usually written by PhD students. But the reason we wait for permission is that, in my opinion, in my view, permission is just an excuse for us to avoid doing the real work, to avoid stepping out of our comfort zone. I totally understand when you're a high school student, writing a research paper is way out of your comfort zone. But it's not that a high school student has no permission, has no authority to write a research paper. Of course, in that sense, they don't have they don't have the credibility or the institutional affiliation that a PhD student has. Maybe officially they don't have the authority in that sense. But a lot of high school students are writing impactful research papers, are doing impactful projects and stuff. So, and if you're really passionate about it, you will not wait for permission. You will not care, okay, my teacher said that I'm too young to do this, so you won't care. Nobody told me to open the journal, to found the Journal of Young Physicists. There are people who, in fact, discouraged me, who were who were against this idea. But I went forward anyway. This is just one example. Our Physics Sofa, the popular science book, I published in 2021. The first edition was in 2021, and then I released a revised edition in 2022. Now again, writing a popular science book in physics, being a high school student, it might seem very audacious. It might translate to audacity to a lot of people, and I understand why, because for instance, there are a lot of popular science books in the market written by qualified physicists, like popular physicists. So if I take if I dare to write a book of a popular science book on physics, that means in a way I'm saying that I am on par with those guys, which definitely I'm not, and that's not what I'm saying, actually. But some people have told me that this is the impression they had initially when I just shared about my idea of writing the book. The book was not yet published then, and I can understand why, because they're just trying to discourage you. You see, they don't have the, of course the book didn't write itself. I was going through a lot of stuff during that point of time in my life. My mother's health, my grandfather's death, COVID-19 in general, this and that, and of course my school academics, my studies and all, my syllabus, which was like, plus I was night after night I lay awake and typed all the book and researched on the internet. You can read the, if you have read the book, you will know that it's at least the second edition, it's a very well researched edition. So of course the book didn't write itself. Now when you go through all the effort, and then when people say, then when people are like, okay, so I had to step out of my comfort zone, I had to put in a lot of hard work and effort to get the book ready. And the people, most people of my age, they are not simply ready to take that hard work, take that take that to step out of their comfort zone. And that is why they try to discourage you, not because they think what you're doing is useless. Inwardly even they know that no, actually he's trying something new. Maybe it's not very, maybe it's not it's not the book is not like at the same level as, let's say, A Brief History of Time by Stephen Hawking. Of course I'm not claiming at the same time, I just claim that my book is unique in some ways because I have tried to blend physics, consciousness, metaphysics, everything in a single book, and it's an interesting read. I'm not saying whatever I wrote there is correct. Of course the parts on physics are very accurate, but in the last chapter I shared my personal views on metaphysics, which I am not claiming they're correct. It's clearly written in the book as well, just my personal views. But that's what a book is supposed to be. A book is supposed to inspire, spark curiosity and debate. A book doesn't have to be like a constitution or a Bible handed to you that you have to follow it line by line. That's not that. That's a dictionary. That's not a book. That's not a book on deep questions, which is I wrote the book because for two reasons actually. Number one is that at that point of time I had all these thoughts, and I was pretty sure that once I went to higher education, like my undergraduate, my masters, and then PhD, I was pretty sure that I would not have the time to compile these notes and write a book. And I was right. See, after 2022, I had a lot of ideas, new book ideas, but they are just ideas. I didn't have the time to publish a book after that. I have published a lot of research papers, I should say, like project reports, internships, fellowships I've done. Also published a lot of other stuff, but no, not a book. It's true. Higher education, especially a degree in physics, it's very time consuming. It's very demanding. It's very rigorous, and it's not easy. So I was like, okay, I have these ideas now, and if I don't write a book now, these ideas will get lost completely. That's the reason I wrote the book. I didn't write the book so that I can write that I'm an author on my LinkedIn profile or on my resume. I didn't write the book so that so that I can flex to my friends, see, I'm an author, I have published a book. No, not that. Publishing a book is not a big deal today. You can just write shit using AI and publish there are a lot of free like self-publishing platforms. You don't even need money to publish. Even if it's not a, even if it's like a private company or something, you can publish. It's not a problem. Publishing is not the main thing. The book is the main thing. There are a lot of you can write poetry, for instance. It's something which is personally, I don't mean any offense, but personally I think poetry is something which is like a book of poetry. Let's say you write 10 poems, so let's say they're like 30 pages book or something. It's not even 1% of the effort that you need to give to write a 390 page popular science book on physics. You can take a look at my book. It's not poetry. It's full paragraph text, equations, and figures and explanations. So there's a difference. But you can publish poetry as well. Publishing is not the main thing. But the reason is that I decided to compile them into a book format, so that when I'm old, when I'm retired or something, after, I don't know, when I'm near the end of my life, I can take a look at the book and I can remember my young self, like the way it all started. And that is very important to me personally. And the reason I published it is that, okay, I'm pretty sure, I hope that my story and the way I see physics might inspire other people of my age or even younger to ask questions. And I was right. There are some people, at least 6 or 7 people who were genuinely inspired by my book, and that's enough for me. I never thought that my book would be a bestseller, but it's more than I can ask for. There are some people who actually DM'd me on LinkedIn and said that they were kind of hesitant. They couldn't decide what to choose for their major in college. Like they were just stepping to college from high school, and some people chose physics. 2 of them actually chose physics after reading my book. And if my book has inspired two students to choose physics, then I think that's a big achievement in itself. So achievement can not only be measured in the number of Amazon reviews you have or the number of copies you have sold. Even there I have sold actually quite a lot of copies. I mean, it was beyond my expectations initially. Anyway, so with both the examples, the journal and the book, it's clear that I don't wait for permission to do what I think should be done, because of course, if I waited for permission, the point I want to impress upon you on this video is that you should not always wait for permission. You should wait for permission from your own self. But if you think it's okay, if you think you can manage this without hampering your career, or if you're a student, your academics, If you think it's okay, you can manage it, just go for it. Or even if you think that it's not okay, just try it at least start. If you cannot finish it, it's fine, but at least start, because it can lead you to some beautiful places, even if it's not where you initially dreamt of going, but it can. So start. But if you wait for external validation, permission from your teacher, permission from your, even could be permission from your parents, permission from your friends, permission from your peers, permission from your institution, permission from the authority, if you wait for that kind of permission, then actually you are hiding behind an excuse. You just don't want to step out of your comfort zone. You are just, okay, I'm just a student, let me just do academics and just chill the rest of the time. I am not ready to take the extra effort. If that's okay. I mean, that's nothing wrong. Not everyone needs to write popular science books being high school students. But just be clear to yourself that it's not, I did not stop because nobody gave me permission. I stopped because I did not give myself permission, and I was not just not courageous enough to admit it. So I was like, oh no, I think I'm not qualified enough for this. Who cares? Especially in today's world, in everything is like digital and the internet, and you have this and that. Who cares about qualification? What some of the most successful people are not, they are not qualified in the traditional sense. So yeah, and it's also important that sometimes it's important to try out new paths which people have, like, even if society or your surrounding, your external people, if they, like, for instance, what I mean is that if they don't give you permission, it's important to try out new paths, precisely because, that way you get to know yourself. If you always do what people expect of you, or if you always do what people ask you to do, then you are living a version of your life which they want. You are not living your life. You're losing your originality. And that's the reason I am very hesitant before I fully open to someone, be it a friend, be it even be it a professor, or be it a partner, because of course I've never been in a true relationship and I don't want to be. But and this is the reason why. Because if I commit to someone, then it's like, okay, I have to change some aspects of myself to their liking. I have to adjust, and they have to do the same for me, if it's a healthy relationship, obviously. And I totally get it, and that's the reason I don't want to go into that, because I am pretty sure that I will not be comfortable with changing myself for someone. And if I know that I cannot, I won't be comfortable with that, then going into a relationship would be like not respecting the other person. So if I know I'm not for that kind of thing, it's better not going there at all. Because you see, I'm not saying that people who are in relationships, they're doing something wrong. No, it's your personal decision. There is no right or wrong choice. But the way I see it is that the best way to protect your individuality, protect your originality, is to stay alone. Because if you, that's the reason I will always like to do stuff independently as much as possible. Not always. I also, especially in scientific research, I believe collaboration is much more important than competition. But sometimes I would like to work alone, especially on my more speculative projects, not the internships and stuff. And that the reason for that is that way I am not letting my originality, my individuality die. My identity should not just be part of that team, in a relationship with that. So I just don't want to associate myself with external, let's say a team or an external person. My identity should be, he's the guy who thought that, he's the guy who did that, he's the guy that way. Not like, oh, he was part of that team, the very successful team who did that. Oh my god, no, not that. Both are important. A balance is required in life, because of course to succeed in life, to get into a good PhD in a good lab and stuff, you cannot just say that, no, I want to collaborate, I'll just work alone. No, not that. But at least when it comes to personal relationships, I think there you have a freedom. Of course, it may be difficult at times. There are times I find myself feeling that, okay, it would be good if I had someone to talk to. There are times it gets lonely, but you have to decide which is your priority. So, okay, now I think I will end the video because it's already 18 minutes. I decided to keep it under 15 minutes, but okay, I promised I won't overshoot this time. So, thanks for watching, and just remember this, that don't wait for permission. If you think it's right, do it. At the back of your mind, just tell yourself that, okay, I may not succeed, things may not work out the way I wanted, but I'm going to learn a lot in the process, and if I keep doing this, one day I'll definitely succeed. Thank you.